So let's get going, everybody. Let's talk about what Agile is. I bet you've heard about Kanban and Scrum and iterations and flow, but let me talk in more general terms about what Agile is. In the organization, there are a lot of ideas, and a responsible person funnels all of those ideas into a ranked backlog for a cross-functional team. You'll notice I have 6 people in this cross-functional team. I'll talk some more about that in a minute. The team works on the ranked backlog in order and produces shippable product on a regular basis. At some point, the team does a demo and a retrospective. Now, it's possible if you're working in flow that you might actually do a demo every single day because you have a one-day story. And maybe even more often than every single day. And you might do a retrospective on a certain cadence. If you're using iteration-based Agile, such as Scrum, you might do this once every 2 weeks. In any case, after the retrospective and when the ranked backlog is done, for whatever done means for this team, the team goes back and gets more information. So more items on the ranked backlog. So there's a loop between the ideas and the responsible person and the ranked backlog, and there's a loop for the cross-functional team producing value in the form of shippable and demoable software. If you're not, excuse me, I appear to have the spring allergies. If you're not doing software, you might have demoable product. But I suspect that almost all of you are doing software. So that's what I mean by Agile. I don't happen to care if a team works in iterations or in flow, as long as they produce shippable product on a regular basis. And then they reflect at certain intervals. Okay, so now we're all on the same page with Agile. So let me talk about what the cross-functional team is. You'll notice I said it contains all of the required roles. And you might not actually need all the people if you have all the capabilities. So, for example, some of you have teams where you have a business analyst every so often. But if there are other people on the team who can play the role of the business analyst, do you need a business analyst on your team? If you're not producing user documentation, do you need a writer on your team? I don't know, and it's all about the roles and capabilities and skills that you need, not what other people say that you need. Now, I happen to like really small teams of about 4 to 6 people, maybe 7. And the reason I like that as a sweet spot for the number of people on the teams is because I find that allows for more collegial discussions where I shouldn't say this. I was going to say we tend not to have strong opinions, but that's just totally wrong. We always have strong opinions in teams. But when you have a smaller team, I find that it's easier for me to be able to have a one-on-one conversation and be able to discuss what's really going on for that other person who has a strong feeling about something. I guess I should say we all have very strong feelings about almost everything to do with our products. So I want to be able to have a conversation with people and understand where are they coming from, what do I need to do to understand where they are coming from, what do I need to do to help them understand where I am, all that stuff. Now, you'll notice that I said in the third bullet that the team delivers value every day or so. I really like small stories. I don't like technical stories. I don't like infrastructure stories. Those are not value. Those are using the old ideas of waterfall in an agile way. I don't buy it. I don't find that it's useful. That means that the product owner really needs to figure out how do we create small stories of value. So let me talk about another team that helps create small stories of value. So you can see on the left side of this image, there's the product development team. That's the cross-functional team. Those are the people that we normally think about in our Agile team. We have developers and we have testers. We might have that BA if you need one. We might have a writer if you need one. We might have a DBA. We might have any number of other people. Those are the skills and capabilities and roles that I referred to in the last slide. Now notice that there's a team in the middle here called the Product Owner Value Team. And that's the team who decides what to do and when for a product. So, and I said here for a project, but a project is one release of a product. So, you might have just a product owner on that team. I have seen product owner value teams with a product manager who works at the upper levels of the organization, who is externally facing, who deals with customers, all that stuff, and product owners who either work on the same product but for different teams or the same series of products. Those product owners are internally facing with the product development team. So I'm hoping that I have not yet confused you. So there's the product development team, the developers and testers, and whomever else you need to create the product. There's the product owner value team who says, here's what we want in that ranked backlog and when, and the product owner works directly with the product development team to facilitate the team's understanding of the stories and the requirements. And then there's the project portfolio team, which decides which project is number one. So the project portfolio team says, yes, we want this project, and we want it now because this will give us value across the organization. The product owner value team says, we want this sequence of requirements at this time in this order, and they hand off the sequence. Well, it's not really a handoff. They work with the product development team to help the product development team deliver what they're supposed to do. So I find that when I think about Agile in this way, with the teams, with the product development teams and the product owner value team, I have more clarity of thought. So let's talk about how that Agile team might work. So there are things called working agreements, which is often how we do things here. How do we treat meetings? How do we treat what done means? How do we talk with each other? How do we manage our culture in the organization for this project? So often we think about what our values are. And when we think about working agreements and values, that's the social contract among the members of the team. Now, you might say, well, we have to have stand-ups. Well, maybe you do and maybe you don't. There are times for stand-ups and times not for stand-ups. We can get into that discussion later. But the key about how teams work is it's about behaviors, not practices. So you might say we have a value of having multiple eyes on the code. We could do this with code review. We could do this with pairing. We could do this with modding, right? That all gives us multiple eyes on the code, but that the value is multiple eyes, not the practice of we must pair. And I'm actually a very big proponent of pairing, so it's not about what the practice is, it's about the value for it. So here are some areas for discussion for the team working agreements. So we might have